I'm Andrew from Limitless Park, and you know the old saying, if you own some shelves, you know damn well they better not be empty. I'm pretty sure it was Socrates who said that. Or maybe Aesop. Regardless, I love owning a bunch of items and spreading them all over a surface to be able to show them off like... You see, I'm a huge fan of merchandise, preferably of the theme park variety. Anytime I get off a ride and see a gift shop, well, let's just say I'm not turned on. And if you think that's wrong, just know that it's our God-given right to buy things at theme parks. Like seriously, I'm pretty sure most religions were founded on that principle. I mean, baby Jesus' first words weren't buy more collectible pins for nothing. Wait, those weren't his first words, they were mine!
Well, that explains a lot. What is the best part of visiting a theme park? I mean, there's so much to enjoy. You can ride the rides, eat delicious and unique food, see a show, take in the beautiful scenery. There's so much to do. But most of those things you can do by just buying a simple ticket to the theme park. The price of that ticket can depend on the park, but generally I feel they're around the $50 to $100 range these days. But that's not enough money. You need to spend more. And not just on food or on stroller rentals or parking. You need something to commemorate the trip. And that's where theme park merchandise comes in.
Selling merchandise has been a staple of theme parks since they were basically invented. Even when the only theme parks were grimy boardwalk establishments like Coney Island, you bet your bottom dollar they had stuff to spend your bottom dollar on. And when the modern day theme park did come into play with Disneyland, you know they had shops chock full of merchandise.
I mean, look, back in 1955, they sold jams and jellies. And they also had a store called the Intimate Apparel Shop, also known as the Wizard of Bras.
Those were the days. Now if I want to buy lingerie at my local Six Flags, I have to go backstage. Such a hassle.
Anyways, theme park merchandise has evolved into basically anything you could possibly imagine, and you can get it basically anywhere. You can buy official stuff sold at the actual theme park, or if they don't have exactly what you want there, you can always go online to something like the Disney or Six Flags shopping website, and if they still don't have what you want, you can head to some other third-party sites like Etsy, Redbubble, or other theme park creators' websites and find more unique stuff there. Want a commemorative pin? Easy. What about a wooden coaster building kit? Done. Shot glasses? No problem. Stickers, ties, pens, pen pads, a $250,000 model of Cinderella's castle, t-shirts. There's literally no limit to what you could want unless it's bras these days, because that stopped in 1956. Oh wait, look, Spaceship Earth sports bra.
Add to cart!
But if there's no limit to theme park merchandise, then how do I even know what's worth discussing in this episode? Well, I figure it would be best if I mostly stick to my personal experiences with collecting merchandise over the years. Believe me, that's best for everyone. If I had to talk about how much I didn't buy a really cool attraction poster set from Disneyland Paris back in 2019, well, we'd be here all day, but you don't want to hear about my lifelong regrets, do you?
Should've got the poster set.
If there's some really cool merchandise that I don't own, but either wish I did or just think is pretty neat, I'll definitely mention it. But otherwise, consider this a guide on what I think constitutes as good theme park merchandise.
But where to start? Well, while I'm thinking, I guess I'll just take a sip of coffee from my Holiday World Legend wooden roller coaster mug. Oh my god, that is hot coffee!
Quite possibly my favorite merchandise I've started collecting since becoming a theme park enthusiast are coffee mugs. But that said, I didn't start collecting them right away. I'd consider my career and burden as a theme park enthusiast to have started around the year 2013 with a visit to Walt Disney World. It was my first in 5 years, my first as a teenager, and the first where I kinda knew what the hell a Pepper's Ghost effect was. I was 13 at the time, and because I had good parents, I wasn't drinking coffee then. That probably started around 2014 or 2015, and my love for theme park coffee mugs didn't arrive until 2017 when I paid a visit to Six Flags Magic Mountain in Knott's Berry Farm. I remember wanting something to remember the visit by and thinking, well, I could be a total loser and buy one of those ugly t-shirts with the super loud coaster design on them.
Go ahead, get mad. You know they suck.
Or I could get something a little more subtle, something that would look nice on a shelf. And then I got it. Caffeine addiction. These were my first two theme park mugs ever. The first one would have been the Twisted Colossus mug since we went there first. I always liked the size and shape of this one. It's a little on the smaller side and the coaster design isn't anything incredible, but the white outside contrasts nicely with the blue inside. I look at it and I think, yeah, this reminds me of the really awesome RMC I rode at Magic Mountain. And that's what I think good theme park merchandise should do. Remind you of your visit, whether it's a particular attraction you really enjoyed, or just how amazing the park was as a whole. Now for the Knott's Berry Farm mug, it reminds me of squids. Okay, to be fair, I visited when the Voyage to the Iron Reef Dark Ride was still in operation, so this tentacle isn't completely unwarranted. But still, this mug just has way too much going on. Sure, iconic rides like Silver Bullet and the Log Flume are pictured, but the whole thing just makes me squint uncomfortably. I don't remember my other options for mugs that day, but I have a hunch I chose wrong.
Now for a mug that I have more than a hunch that I chose wrong, I present to you B-Mug.
What the hell is this? And why is it tall? Okay, when I went to Carowinds in 2017, I loved Fury 325, and I distinctly remember this being the only mug available for the ride, but still, I don't know if that made it worth buying. I mean, this thing just stands out like a sore thumb in my collection. I feel like Six Flags and Cedar Fair aren't the best when it comes to merchandise, at least for mugs. They have some winners, but some of them just make me nauseous. Like this one I got from Max Force at Great America. I understand the whole skull with wings was the branding for the ride, but still, it makes me feel like I need to shower. There's also this big I Need My Space Orion mug that I have that I'm not too fond of. I think I just got it for its size, honestly. And there's also this Six Flags America one. This color selection is horrendous. Why did I buy this?
I did visit Six Flags America with a bad cold and a fever though, so that probably influenced my decision making.
However, nothing compares to my least favorite mug in my collection. This god-awful Six Flags Over Texas mug. There's barely anything about it that represents Six Flags Over Texas, the green color isn't pleasant to look at, and it's got these weird fake markings that I think are supposed to look like wear and tear, but they're so obviously fake that they just make it look dirty. I actually do remember this being the only mug that even remotely mentioned the park when I visited though, so I basically had to get it if I was going to have any Over Texas related mug. But even though I'm being super critical right now, I promise you I have some decent picks in here. Like check out this Valley Fair mug from 2019. Again, it's not a super crazy looking design for a coffee mug, but the shadowy look of the rides with the Minneapolis skyline in the background and all the bold colors, I love it. And this Mystic Timbers one from Kings Island, ooh, I like this one. Just the wooden barrel aesthetic and the sizing of the logo. There's no weird colors on it, so it doesn't pop that much, but that goes well with Mystic Timbers theming of a logging company. And of course, I gotta touch on some Disney mugs. They usually knock it out of the park. Sure, not all of them are winners. This Disneyland Paris one is pretty loud and obnoxious and also has these weird symbols on the inside that I think imply it wants you to post about it on social media. Damn it, I made the wrong choice.
I should've got the poster set.
But I'd say every other one I have is a winner. At the very least, they're just fine, like this basic Walt Disney World one, but otherwise I have this incredible Haunted Mansion one that is wildly impractical to hold, but oh boy does it turn me on. Or what about this awesome Space Mountain one from Disneyland with a blueprint-like design of the dome and a handle that's kind of shaped like the D in Disneyland. This one also looks like it would be definitely uncomfortable to hold, but it's only kinda uncomfortable to hold. And that brings us to my favorite mug in the whole collection. This giant Star Wars Galaxy's Edge one. Much like a lot of the merch at Galaxy's Edge, it's made to look like something you'd buy on the actual planet of Batuu, with it having a sort of rigid clay-like design. And the extra motifs like the droid and the Millennium Falcon on the handle, damn, this one looks good. Now, was it good enough to spend $25 on? Well, I guess that depends what else you can get for $25. Holy crap, Bob Ross Chia Pet. But other than that mug, that's something I like about collecting these. They're relatively inexpensive. In my experience, I've found them to cost around the $10 to $15 mark. Sure, there's ones I've bought that can occasionally go over that price, but generally they don't break the bank and make for some solid theme park purchases. The one issue I can foresee with getting these things is their fragility, like if you're traveling and they're gonna break in your suitcase or something, but at most places they tend to bubble wrap them, and knock on wood, I have yet to have one break on me while I'm transporting it. So from my personal experience, I can say you don't have much to worry about there. Also, more places than just theme parks sell mugs, so you can cheat a little and build out your collection faster by getting them at different tourist attractions. Look, here's one from the Country Music Hall of Fame and Museum in Nashville. Because nothing says I went to the Country Music Hall of Fame and Museum in Nashville more than a coffee mug that says Country Music Hall of Fame and Museum in Nashville. Honor thy music.
And thy mother and father.
There's also this mug I got at Lich Gardens, but look at this. It's barely theme park related. I'll give you a nickel if you can figure out which city this represents. I've also got a mug from the Newport Aquarium in Kentucky, and 2 mugs each from the One World Trade Center Observatory in New York City, one from 2017 and one from 2024. You see, I got 2 different mugs to represent the 2 times I visited.
Damn, I love these coffee mugs, but I will admit, they're not for everyone. What if you want something theme park related to drink out of, but hate caffeine and love alcohol poisoning?
Well, do I have the thing for you. Most theme parks also sell alcohol paraphernalia, including shot glasses. The only one I own is this one for Cedar Point's 150th anniversary, because I wanted something for the celebration and I had just turned 21 a month before, so now I can take shots of tequila while thinking about Blue Streak.
Like I don't already do that.
So coffee Coffee mugs are definitely my favorite thing to collect, and I highly recommend them if you want something substantial to remember your theme park visit by that won't leave you penniless. But what if they're still too expensive and you don't have the space for shelves of mugs? Well, for something slightly cheaper and way smaller, I'd recommend my second favorite theme park related thing to collect: pins.
I've been hoarding these babies since 2008 when I got my first Disney pin set at the gift shop of Disney's Beach Club Resort. Check it! I still have one of my original pins that came with the lanyard in that first set. Neat!
Pin collecting and trading was initially just a Disney Parks thing. Actually, it was technically an Olympics thing first. There's a whole interesting history about that I'd love to make an episode about someday. But it primarily caught on at the Disney Parks, and that's where I first got into them. Their small size is perfect for collecting tons of them. Some people store them in binders or just in bins, but personally I think having a bulletin board full of them is awesome. Here's my board that I started putting my pins on. These aren't all my pins, just the ones I love the most. I'll completely fill it out eventually, but I'm not in any hurry to do that because that means I'll have to get another board and start all over. It's so fun to get a new pin, take the back off, and pop it on the cork board wherever I want. It truly feels like I'm building out a collection, and I highly recommend them as theme park merchandise because of that. And even though my collection started out as just Disney, other theme parks and attractions have slowly started offering them more and more, so I tend to pick them up whenever I see them and thus have all sorts of park representation on here. Also quite a few Pokemon pins on here for some reason. I don't know, I can't explain the existence of my Marshadow pin, so just roll with it. I have way too many here to discuss, but here are some of my favorites. This Disney Riviera pin from the week the resort opened. I spent a weird amount of time in this hotel's lobby in 2019 despite not staying there, so what better way to remember it than with a pin? And speaking of 2019, my good friend and fellow Limitless Park collaborator Andrew, no not me Andrew, him Andrew, picked up this cast members only pin for Galaxy's Edge before it opened. This is one of the coolest ways to tell someone that I'm better than them, so I really appreciate the gift. Anyways, this California Screamin' one moves, and this Guardians of the Galaxy one opens. Wowee! I'm pretty sure I got this Disneyland one for free as a first visit gift in 2014. Don't know if they still do that or not, but that's pretty cool. And this Midway Mania pin has a massive tumor on it, that's fun. In 2019, I traded for this 10 years of DVC pin. It's fun because I've never been a DVC member. This is as close as I'll ever come to owning a fake ID. Moving on to some non-Disney pins, we got Marshadow. We got this awesome 150 year anniversary Cedar Point pin, because I wasn't satisfied with just the shot glass. I also got this awesome New Texas Giant pin that actually moves. I'd expect this kind of thing from Disney, but I didn't think Six Flags had the budget for that. Here's my guest approved pin from Six Flags Great America. Always a joy to have this as part of my estate. And I could talk about any of these cool Kings Island pins, but I'd rather mention my Rosetta Stone pin from the British Museum. This thing didn't teach me a single language and I am pissed.
Those are just a few of the pins that I wanted to touch on, but if you look closely at my board while you were watching, you might have noticed that some of those pins are actually fake.
That's an issue with collecting pins, particularly Disney ones. If you buy a huge lot of them on eBay, like I've done occasionally, you might end up with some fake ones. I'm not going to pretend I can really tell the difference between fake and real ones, but I at least know they exist. There's plenty of articles out there that detail how you can tell if you have a fake pin, if you want to read any of those. There are some that I think are probably fake that I still keep on the board just because I think they look cool regardless. The big issue is that some people don't know when they have a fake pin, and then they go and trade them at the Disney parks.
This results in a bunch of fake Disney pins being circulated by people who don't know any better. I don't blame them. I just said I have trouble telling them apart myself, but it's just something to be aware of. Besides that though, there's no real downside to collecting pins. They're easily some of the best theme park merchandise out there. How else am I supposed to remember that I went to Toy Story Land the month it opened? Oh.
Yeah, this works too, I guess. Okay, just because I made fun of buying theme park shirts doesn't mean I'm above owning some of my own. That's right, I'm a hypocrite. I just tend to prefer shirts that are a bit more subtle. Ones that you might have to squint a little bit until you realize, hey, that's the mountain ride from Disney. Of course, not all my shirts are like that. Nothing says I hate sex more than this Toy Story Land shirt, but these are far and few between. I got it as proof that I was there the summer the land opened, but have I ever worn it? No. But I have worn this Valley Fair ticket shirt quite a bit. Once again, you really have to be at more than a 5th grade reading level to know this is a specific theme park shirt. Oh wait, this is for Valley Fair? But in my opinion, if you have to get a theme park shirt, I think the less is more approach is definitely the way to go. That's actually where third-party sellers come into play. A lot of the official theme park merch out there is a bit too this is disgusting for me. But some sellers on Etsy have some really subtle designs that have really cool niche references. Stuff that you won't feel absolutely ashamed to wear out in public, but if someone happens to see this and shout, "That's the Horizons logo! Then yeah, I'll crack a smile. And if you really can't find a shirt you like, you can theoretically make it yourself if you have the skills. I actually got this awesome homemade Velocicoaster shirt as a gift, and it's so sick. Like, that's an extremely accurate depiction of the front car and the coaster, and it's one of a kind, so no one else has something like this.
Now, will you ever see me make a shirt? Hell no, are you kidding me? I suck at arts and crafts. I can barely make a paper airplane, look at this.
But you know what another benefit to homemade or even third-party merch is? They tend to be far less expensive than the real deal. Like again, check out these items on the Disney store. I didn't even know numbers could go that high.
But what if even that less expensive stuff is too expensive? What kind of theme park merchandise can you get for flat out free? Or at least as free as you can get while spending thousands of dollars to go to Disney World?
Ephemera is the word of the day, and it's basically described as anything from the parks that aren't really souvenirs or purchasable items.
Now before we get into this topic, I do have to give a quick disclaimer that it's entirely subjective whether any of this counts as theme park merchandise. I mean, you don't have to actually buy any of it. And like, you could theoretically give these things to different people as gifts, but you'll probably be looked at as a big cheapskate from then on, so consider this a formal warning.
Now with that out of the way, I present to you my crowning achievement in being alive. Behold! Map board. Physical theme park maps are a dying art these days, as they're slowly being replaced by virtual maps on your phone. But that said, some are still out there, and I've been collecting them for so long. I have many more than this, but this is just as much as I can fit on this bulletin board. I like how I have them all laid out, with some closed maps on the outside acting as sort of a border, while my favorite ones are open in the middle. Like, come on, you think I'm not gonna display my Cedar Point map? Look at it. It's tall. And just because I said they don't make good Christmas gifts, doesn't mean they aren't cool to pick up and give to people you know that collect them. I mean, I've never been to Tokyo Disney Sea, but this map I got from someone is too amazing not to display. Like, look at this. I've never felt so cool while being a fraud. Now, other than theme park maps, I probably got some more free theme park merch around here somewhere. Oh. Okay, that's more maps. But hey, what about entrance tickets or passes for the parks? You can save these up and form a nice little collection. It's the classiest form of hoarding. Anyone need a Six Flags Great America ticket for the 2019 season? I can hook you up. And who needs a Rolex when you can stop your blood circulation with magic bands? Now there's some things here that are technically free or near free, like this button they were giving out for American Eagle's 40th anniversary, or this reusable bag I got at Disneyland Paris. These are probably the closest any of these free items get to being worth something. But nothing will compare to this awesome certified mountain climber certificate that my family got in 2018. After riding Space Mountain, Splash Mountain, and Big Thunder Mountain in one day, we came back to our hotel to find this sitting on the table. It's definitely the coolest piece of free merchandise I have, especially since Splash Mountain literally doesn't exist anymore.
So with that, we've covered the three main things that I collect: mugs, pins, and maps, and all of them have a special place in my heart. But obviously, I have much more than that. I have to draw the line at some point, but I'm sure as hell not going to do it before mentioning Disney autograph books.
Yeah, so while you'll never catch me getting a Disney character's autograph these days, I did get quite a few of them when I was really little, and they're all kept in these official Disney autograph books, which you can still buy variations of today. Let's open this up and... oh. Okay, guess this was when I was still going by my nickname of Also, I should probably blur out my address. I don't want to accidentally dox myself. Okay, we got a heart, a dog bone, and a paw print. This one's definitely Lightning McQueen. And on the next page, we have my favorite childhood snack. I also got my book signed by that one guy that does all those clock paintings. And Jesus, Minnie, calm down. Your autograph looks like it's from a beautiful mind. Alright, we got Goofy, and then we got Goofy again, and now Pluto. Wait. Is he saying he's gonna OD? Goofy once more, Mickey, and then some sort of diagram of a valley. That's pretty cool. Pooh wrote his name upside down. That's cute. And then Tigger wrote what kind of looks like a slur. Yikes. I have a second one of these, but it's mostly just the same autographs. Oh wait, that's supposed to be Flick from A Bug's Life. Ah, that makes more sense.
Now you might be thinking that these autograph books are as old as I can get when it comes to theme park merchandise, but that's where you'd be wrong. Vintage merchandise is the name of the game, and you can find it on all sorts of websites like eBay, Facebook Marketplace if you're willing to lose a kidney.
I've never actually bought any vintage merch myself, but I have gotten quite a few hand-me-downs from family members, and they're some of my favorite things I own. I have this strange golden Mickey statue. Not really sure who or where I got this from. It's honestly just been around since I was a kid and I've always held on to it. But then we have this awesome Marriott's Great America pennant from before it was even a Six Flags park. Back when the Looney Tunes characters actually meant something to the park. Those were the days. I also have this old Epcot book from the 80s that my grandparents let me keep, and a super cool pictorial souvenir that they got from the same trip. This thing can essentially work as a postcard of sorts, but it's much cooler as a sort of time capsule showing what the park was like in the past. Sure, you could theoretically find most or all of these pictures online, but it's so much cooler to hold them in your hands and just dig into every detail on each photo. I would definitely love to do a more in-depth video of these old pictures in the future. They're just so fun to look at.
Now, these next things that I want to cover aren't exactly vintage, as you can buy variations of them today, but they're definitely on the older side, particularly the early 2000s. And as someone who was born in 2000, saying that stings.
We've talked about inexpensive merch and some stuff that's flat out free, but what if you're looking to spend a pretty penny on a top-of-the-line souvenir? Well, might I recommend that $250,000 model of Cinderella's castle that I mentioned earlier? Or to go about $249,800 cheaper, might I recommend the Disney Parks monorail sets? If you have the space for it, these things are incredible to own. Now, I can't take full credit for owning this, as they were passed down to my parents from my grandparents, but I did get footage of everything to show off. And when I say everything, I mean much more than just the basic monorail set. That's right, there's also a Grand Floridian station, a contemporary resort, a monorail switch station, a Dumbo the Flying Elephant, and a Cinderella's castle, you know, in case the $250,000 castle was too much. Now, none of these are super practical. I mean, there's a reason they're all in boxes and not being displayed anywhere currently, but if you have the space, like maybe you have a cool model train display or something, these could make for excellent additions. Sure, most of these aren't being sold officially anymore, but you can definitely find them used on eBay, and they're not that expensive.
So hopefully by now you've gotten the idea that there's tons of theme park merchandise out there. But just in case you're craving more ideas, I present to you a speed run of things that didn't really fit into any categories I was talking about, but I wanted to discuss anyways.
More theme park books. These things are a fantastic gift for any enthusiast, especially this abandoned theme parks book. Again, even though it's easy to find pictures of this stuff online, it's just cool holding it in your hands.
Just like it's cool to hold this Taco Bell burrito in my hands. My stomach's about to look like Six Flags New Orleans.
Next up, this Star Wars Sabacc playing card set from Galaxy's Edge. It looks like such a fun card game. Emphasis on looks like, because I've never actually opened it. Then there's this weird Banshee gravestone that I have from King's Island. This one's definitely one of the most useless items I own, but hey, it's still pretty neat. And if you're feeling particularly festive, there's all sorts of theme park related Christmas ornaments available. Here's one of the Jungle Cruise. You know the Jungle Cruise. It was that one movie from 2021 starring Rock Johnson that they turned into a Disney ride. And I may harbor an unhealthy amount of resentment towards past me for not getting those Disneyland Paris posters, but hey, at least I have some cool ones from Walt Disney World. I could seriously go on and on. I mean, there's more pennants, coaster building kits, collectible pennies, lanyards, Legos, video games, socks. There's truly no end in sight when it comes to theme park related merchandise.
And that's just the stuff I own. I mean, just because I don't own the Tiana's Bayou Adventure cooking playset doesn't mean I wasn't gonna mention it. I'm not an idiot.
But I do have to call it quits at some point. Just remember, you don't gotta own every type of merchandise in order to be a true theme park fan. What really matters is that you cherish the stuff you do own and can connect that merchandise back to different memories you have.
Now this does beg the question, do I have a favorite item out of everything that I own? Well, right now it's kind of tough to say. I did just get a notification about the Spaceship Earth sports bra being shipped, so once it arrives it'll probably be that.